Now, with that being said, we already touched on the shit. What's the word for it? The physique part of transgender people competing, which actually you were asking about. You don't know what the rules were. The rules were what they told us because we had to ask. It was funny because the person she asked didn't even know she was transgender, and we had a few people look into it, and I think NPC rules is you can pick a category according to gender, but it doesn't say gender by birth, so that's the loophole. And
right.
You know how the promoters are now. As long as they get an extra entry fee, I don't think nobody really gives a shit.
As long as they get the entrance fee, exactly.
Especially with this crossover. I don't know if you've heard. We'll say this real quick because I wanted to ask your opinion on this. I know we're going all over the place, but still, it's just interesting.
That's just a normal conversation.
Yeah.
We're having a normal conversation. That's what it's called.
The last, did you happen to follow the last, I think, Masters Nationals?
No, I tend to stay away from watching competitions, or I'm not the best when it comes to competition. So,
like if you get a pro card, you're not restricted to that category. You can compete in any category in the pro. Like if you get men's physique and you put on 50 pounds, you can go into bodybuilding. No one cares. That being said, these people were going in and getting pro cards in 2 or 3 different categories. They were like the women's physique. The women's bodybuilding, they get a pro card there, they go to women's physique and get one there. And I'm like, why in the fuck would you do that? And I think the person that was telling me this, and I looked it up and verified, I was like, oh yeah, this is true, this happened, this is some bullshit. Their argument was, well, I paid the entry fees for the crossovers. Yeah, but you also got a pro card, so shut the fuck up and let the next person get it.
I know, exactly. I'm listening to that.
Have some sportsmanship. Now at the Team Universe, and he's actually shows he's watching. Dibs, you're still there. He went to Team Universe and he finished 3rd in Classic Physique. Now the person who finished, I think either 1st or 2nd, got a pro card in another division. So what they did was they passed it down to 3rd. That is a great way they should have handled the other one. So he got his pro card because they weren't going to give that guy 2. You go to Masters Nationals and people are racking up. I know one guy got like 3. I'm like, I get you paid the fees to compete in multiple categories, but you also didn't expect to get a pro card the first time. So, kind of be the higher person. Be like, I got one. I know I paid the entry fee for this, but you know what? I got a pro card, so I shouldn't bitch. Let's let somebody else go get that one. Be a sportsman about it. And don't
you got what you wanted. There's no need to put sauce on it.
Like, what if you'd have done every category and I got shit?
Yeah.
That person that you pushed out of the way paid the entry fee too, and you took their pro card when you already had one, so you're being a ball hog.
It's just like being the trophy hunter brigade, the ones that will enter competitions when they know they've got no competition, just so they know they'll get a trophy. There are only 3 people in it. I'm doing it.
And they'll do that shit.
At the worst case scenario, I'm going to be 3rd.
Yeah, and they'll do that shit locally, and they'll keep winning locally, and they'll never move up to the next level because they're afraid to go try to turn pro.
Or what about all these little bit organizations that have their own pros? It's like unheard of organizations that suddenly somebody's a pro and whatever. I'm not even going to mention any of them because I don't want to make it look like I'm gunning for any particular individual. But it's like I don't really need to do that. But, you just make up a name, the IAS. Let's just call it the IAS for fun. And then all of a sudden they become a pro and they think they would do absolutely nothing if they were to compete in the NPC. And yet they're a pro in some little bit organization that wants to make money out of people. So it's like the pro era of the pro card. It's like everybody thinks that if they get a pro card, their life is going to change. The only difference is they're going to be paying a fee for it every year. Like the IFBB's life is going to change, because the more of you that are pros, the more money they're going to make every year,
And it's even worse now because you don't have the magazine and supplement sponsorships you used to. No. Now it's all you got to market yourself and become a person and build a brand before you even get a fucking pro card, so that you've got some weight to carry, so you can get some kind of sponsorship or something.
You're not going to get like the big ththings like in the past. Going back to my past in the 80s, when I was in the bodybuilding world then, and in the British scene that was. But you had people that were getting big contracts, advertising contracts, when they were well known in bodybuilding. For instance, Kimberly Ann Jones. I think it was Volkswagen she got. I'm sure she'll correct me if she hears this and I'm wrong. But she got Volkswagen commercials. You had people doing Pirelli calendars. They were, maybe Virgin was another one that had people on it. I mean, you could actually make money. Those days are gone. You know, those days are gone. Now it's, you put so much money into the sport to become a pro, you get your pro card. And honestly, for some people, getting the pro card is the end of their bodybuilding career, if you want to call it a career, because they're never going to win anything ever again. Because they're going to be totally, especially if you get a pro card in a show where you know that there's very few people competing and it's an easy win. And then you're going up against these people that have been well known in the sport for years, you know, and it's like, it's the end of your career in bodybuilding if you get a pro card for some people, you know. It's like, great, you got it. Now what? You know, there's nowhere to go, you know. The illusion has been shattered, you know. Yeah,
you're right. I know. I've seen that happen. They'll get, you know, and sometimes you'll be following somebody because, you know, muscular development, they used to follow like, what was it, Todd Brewer, was that his name? He never ended up turning pro though, or Trey Brewer or something. The NPC guys, and some would get their pro cards and then just vanish. Or, you know, I've seen people locally or people from, you know, friends from back home, and they'll get a pro card and be like, oh, wow, okay, well, that's it. Or they focus so much on getting that pro card that when they get it, they think mentally they think that's the finish line. When, like, you just opened the fucking door. Like, you got.
I know. The work just begins.
You got it in 8th grade, and you just got into 9th grade.
Yeah, it's too easy to get a pro card these days, too. You know, it's like, I remember Paula Birkhamshaw. I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but she was, like, very, very major in the UK again. And she did compete in, I think, one Olympia here, maybe more than one. But I remember her saying it was like back in the day, you used to have to not only win your class, but win overall to get a pro card. Now, you don't even have to necessarily win your class to get a pro card, you know? Oh. The first 2 or sometimes even the first 3 will get pro cards. To me, that's just the organizations wanting to make money. You know, because the more pros that they have, the more money is coming in on a yearly basis to maintain those pro cards. You know, because I don't know what it is, $200-$300 something for. I'm not sure how much it is these days. You have to pay every year to keep your pro card active. You know, but I mean, it's like, imagine all these people they make pros, now they're paying their money, and some of them are not doing anything ever again. You know.
And they get lost in the mix because so many people get it. Now, look back when Flex Wheeler turned pro, right? He turned pro and then wins shows and wins the fucking Arnold Classic. Like because that's because it turned pro, you had to win everything, you know, and he got it. Yeah. And as soon as he won, he just started fucking cleaning house.
And also some of these people that turn pro, like you say, you're never going to hear from them again, you know? Whereas there are people that never had a pro card, you still hear about to this day. You know, they never turned pro, and yet they're still considered legends in the sport, you know? So, I mean, it's like a pro card doesn't mean anything, you know? I mean, but people just think it's giving them status. It's making them a slightly bigger fish in a small fish bowl. That's all, you know?
Yeah, that's very...
Bodybuilding is not, you're not going to hear about them on the news. Oh, so-and-so got the pro card. It's not on the evening news, you know, because nobody cares outside of the small world that is bodybuilding, you know? And so, but people seem to think they're a celebrity once they get the pro card, you know, some people, you know?
It's all comes down to how well you market yourself. That's all. It's all it comes down to. I mean, Dave Palumbo never turned pro, but I mean, everybody knows him. Like, everybody knows RX Muscle. Everybody knows those green-ass bottles in the store. Yeah.
And probably if he was competing today, he would have his pro card because it's so much easier to get it today. You know, and that's no disrespect to the condition he used to get himself in, just the way things were judged back then, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, he definitely was a fucking monster, and he was lean for his size, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the mysteries of bodybuilding. I guess once again, that's the politics of bodybuilding, though, you know? That's when things become political rather than based on what you look like, you know? Like, you know,
I mean, he's kind of got the last laugh now, because I remember back when he couldn't even get press passes to go to the Olympia and stuff, and now he's the #1 coverage for everybody. People go to his YouTube channel to find out what the fuck's going on. Local bodybuilders here, when they make it on, because we have a few pros on island, when they make it on Muscle in the Morning, everybody knows about it. Everybody's fucking happy about it. Like, he's the guy now when it comes to covering that shit. So, I mean, he's got the last laugh in the end.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and, you know, he didn't need a pro card to do it.
No. Now, about before I forget, we talked about the physique stuff. Now, when it comes to performance, this is where I'm kind of strewed in the middle a little bit. I put down both performance and then military, because now military is becoming an issue with requirements for physical fitness. But I want to touch on the performance sports more, like powerlifting and cross country and stuff like that, because I don't know if you heard where the transgender female went in and broke all these world records in powerlifting, and then I think the USPA came out and said, we're not recognizing it. That's some bullshit. Mm-hmm. And it caused this uproar. I'm actually surprised, honestly, that the organization even granted it, because they should have known that there was going to be a shitstorm when this female. Now, there was a point where somebody, some of the powerlifters at the gym had talked to someone and wanted her to compete with them, trans female, and they checked on the rules, and the rules said that for a transgender female to compete with the females, they have to be either have bottom surgery, castrated, something to where there's no chance of male hormones, where it's minimized. Even in their argument was, well, I'm on estrogen. I said, yeah, but you could take the estrogen out a few weeks before and go in there and clean house. Like, I kind of see, I don't like it, but at the same time, you got to understand where they're coming from, because they got to make sure that all bases are covered. Yeah. And I was kind of joking around, but at the same time, I kind of wish she'd have done it. I said, who's to say you just don't go in and jump in with the guys? Like, you're stronger than some of these guys. Like, you're fucking strong. And what makes the bigger? Oh, I'm a male to female who's got a structural advantage, and even when they're completely castrated, everything, I think they still have a little bit of hormone. I mean, I've seen some that have had completely testosterone taken out, and they can still grow muscle, and they're still strong as shit. I said, and would you rather have that backlash, or would you rather enter the male category and clean house? Because I guarantee nobody will talk shit if you go into the male category and win something. Yeah. Because now you got a man that's on estrogen that's going in there as a female who's beating the guys. Like, nobody can say shit. What are they going to say?
Yeah, I mean, and also you got to ask yourself, are they also just courting publicity as well? Because they know it's going to draw more attention to everything, I mean, there's like no such thing as bad publicity, Yeah, But I mean, it is slightly different, I think, from a point of view when you're talking about power sports like that. I mean, I'm not sure where I stand when it comes to the power sports thing, because I think genetically the female to male still has an advantage, even with the hormone interventions, just the structure, the skeletal structure, that kind of thing maybe plays a part too. I'm not a huge expert on powerlifting, but I do know that there's always a huge outcry when a transgender athlete, more so male to female, almost always male to female, because I don't think the female to male has any advantages whatsoever, really.
No, they don't.
I don't know, but then you're not saying that female powerlifters aren't taking shit to make them stronger too, So it's
that's true.
But none of them are going to sit and admit it, of course. What I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not telling me that nothing goes down their mouth or in their ass, to make them stronger,
Yeah.
I mean, and then the other side is that maybe this person is doing everything to remove that advantage, but then again, they still, I think, have a genetic advantage, So I can see that, because because when they're in a powerlifting sport, I've seen some of them, and they've done nothing to demuscularize themselves. They still have a very strong looking physique. So therefore, I think they may have an unfair advantage there, and I could see why there's an outcry, because if I was a woman competing against somebody like that, I would probably have a problem too. But I'm not sure, because then but I'd be also scared about voicing it, because then somebody could turn around to me and say what I just said to you about, well, you're not exactly clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I can see their point of view 100%, that they don't want to be competing against somebody who they see as having an advantage, and that person may or may not have an advantage. I mean, there's some really weak men, what I mean, that can't lift anything, So not necessarily being a man makes you stronger than a woman, There are some clean women that are stronger than men,
And then you've got like you said, the female to males who probably wouldn't be as much of an advantage no matter which category they entered. And and if the hormones would play a bigger part in that or not. And then I thought, well,
even with the hormonal assistance, they're never going to be equal to a biological male lifting. You know, structurally and everything. I mean, I know one. I don't know him like to talk to in the street, but I know him via Facebook, and he does very well in powerlifting. Sure, he won't mind me mentioning his name. I probably won't even see this. So Josiah, I can't remember his last name, but it's a double-barreled name. But he does really well. He's just a little guy, you know. So yeah. I can't see how there doesn't seem to be such a big outcry now from the guys complaining about him competing next to them. Because they probably think, oh, well, we've got an advantage here anyway. So why do we need to scream like, oh my God, you know? Whereas I can see the women getting really upset, you know? Saying, well, we're competing against a man, you know?
I wonder if the camaraderie with the males and the female to male would be more than if a male to female went in with the females. I would see the female part being a little bit more catty and the guys being a little bit more, hey, you know,
that thing, yeah.
Female to male, he's at a disadvantage, but he's up here busting his ass like us, so yeah, let's let him go.
And technically, he doesn't really have an advantage anyway, you know, because his hormone levels are probably similar now to the average males, but structurally, he's still going to have the genetic, you know, smaller wrists, smaller joints, you know. You can't make your joints grow, you know?
Yeah, so I think that there would be, as far as people getting along, there would be less issue with the males and the female to male.
Yeah, it could be we're both going to get shot for saying that, but it could be the cattiness coming into it. You know?
Yeah, that's why, because I see on the female side when a male to female goes in and competes with females, I would more expect hear women talk shit there than I would with the guys.
Yeah. It's sad that happens, really, you know? I mean, there really is no reason for it, you know, in my book. I mean, because outside of the sport, I'm sure they'd be very accepting of this individual, you know? But it's just because they're next to them in a competition, and competition tends to always bring the worst out in people. Everybody's looking for a reason to take somebody down, you know? I'm sure if they met them in the street, they'd be supportive towards that person, you know? But because they're in a competition with them, they want to annihilate them, no matter what it takes, you know? So I guess it's more of the competition spirit that takes over then, you know?
And they want to look for reasons why they didn't win before looking for opportunities to work harder, some people, because they'll, instead of saying, okay, well, I know this is an average, I can overcome this, they want to say, well, I didn't win because it's easier to say that.
Yeah. And yeah, it's funny that if you take it to the extreme, you could look at the bikini class, and we all know women that probably never work out and just have a naturally good figure, has never been in a gym, and yet the women don't treat them like, well, you don't work out, so you shouldn't be in this class. I bust my ass in the gym every day to look like this. They don't do that, you know?
Yeah, true.
You know, I mean, there is that extreme to it. I mean, you know, people that walk about and they're just naturally slim. They're just naturally, they've never lifted any weights. You know what I mean? They just have a naturally good body, and you know, and they could compete. And I don't see the bikini girls. I mean, I think initially when the bikini class came into being, people argued that about it. Well, anybody can get up there. You don't need to work out. It's not a sport, you know. But then the NPC and IFBB, whatever, they didn't bring it into the sport for that. They didn't want to make it a sport. They just wanted to put asses on seats, you know, and they knew that if they had a class where, you know, the bikini class was much more acceptable to everybody, just like they added the physique class for men. And I think they were talking about bringing in a beach body class. It's
a wellness class. It's more bottom heavy. It's more popular like in South America and shit, where people have those type of genetics, from what I've heard.
Yeah. I mean, let's hope it doesn't spread, because then it is like, but then it's all about getting people in, you know, and then, you know, for every competitor, they have all their friends that come and pay the price to get in, you know?
Man, especially in Hawaii, the way it's so family oriented here, for every one person, you're going to have like 12 fucking relatives coming in with signs and all kinds of shit. So the first time Sean Ray had his show here, he had it in a smaller venue and it was packed. And I was like, you know, they don't realize in Hawaii, you know, these competitors, their entire family comes out to support them. That's how the culture is here. And so you see tons of people show up for the night show because, you know, everybody has a competitor, their whole family comes, which is awesome. I think that's good because that's going to make it more mainstream, which is going to make it more acceptable, which is going to get more of the evil stereotypes out. But, you know, when people that haven't had contests here, now have more regional contests like NPC stuff that you take that into account. Like if you have a lot of competitors, you're gonna have like 5 times the amount of family that's gonna show up.
Yeah. No, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day, money.
Now, one thing I thought about was with the physique and the powerlifting part was what if, the transgender people had their own category, but then at the same time, you're kind of defeating the purpose. Cause like you said, there's some in the LGBT community that are loud and proud. They want to be separate. They want to be this whole flamboyant other part of the world. Then you have ones who are like, hey, I just want to blend in and live my everyday life. You guys leave me the fuck alone. And I'm friends with both. And I've noticed that. And so I would say though, if there was physique, bodybuilding, figure type division for LGBT or for trans people, it would be entertaining as hell. I could really see
it. Sure, right?
And I would, if they had I don't know, almost like some of these drag patches they have here, I go all the time. It would be very entertaining. And but at the same time, it's for the ones that are wanting to integrate in, it would kind of be pissing on them a little bit. So you're kind of in gray area with that.
And you don't want to have a debacle one of the things that I did come under a lot of fire for was my intense criticism of the FTN fitness bodybuilding competitions, because to me that was the most ludicrous thing I've seen in my life, and it was an affront not only to transgender people but to bodybuilding. I saw both. They had 2 contests, I think. I mean, for all I know, they're on the process of doing a 3rd. But to me, it's just utter ridiculousness. There seemed to be no rules. There was a guy wearing sandals and stripy shorts. There was people that, I mean, I understand not everybody can afford top surgery, but do you need to be there with, what I mean?
Oh, really?
Your boobs hanging out, you know what I mean? Or wearing a sports bra. And it was just, I'm not criticizing these people once again. I mean, they're doing their best, but are they? That's what I'd like to do that. I'd like to say it like that. They're doing their best, but are they? Because you see so many. I mean, look at female bodybuilders and the shape they get into and everything. Now these are guys that are on testosterone and probably other things as well. They've got no excuse to get up on stage looking like that, in my opinion. They should be ripped and I don't know. I like I said, I criticized that. That was an absolute, and people made fun of it, and I don't blame them. But is this what we want? And at that time, we did talk about setting up an organization for transgender athletes. We looked into it, setting it up as a non-profit organization, having our own contests and doing things like that. But then it's how many people would actually do it is one thing. And how can we guarantee that we'd have a good class of athlete up there? Because at the end of the day, it is an athletic performance of sorts. It's not just a come as you are. Oh, look, you've been to the gym 5 times. Goody for you, See, once again, I'm going off at the mouth.
I get it.
If you saw pictures from those shows, you would understand what I mean.
And this not just with the fitness community, but with the community in general. You have something like that, and you have good intentions, and it can potentially turn into a shit show.
Yeah.
You got to think hey, I understand. It's there's times where, we do our thing, and there's times where other people are around, and we have to put up a good representation so that we don't get these bad stereotypes. When you go to, and it's different between if you go inside a gay club, you see all kinds of crazy shit. Well, I'm in a gay club, I expect it's cool. But then you're at a pride parade where there's children, older people, and stuff that are trying to get along, or they're wanting to support. And they're wanting to kind of acknowledge themselves, but they see all this ludicrous shit, and they're like, well, this is what it's like. What the hell? I always say, there's a time and place for everything. And sometimes you have to think, what's the bigger picture here? Oh, I want to be loud and proud. And okay, I understand that, but you also don't want to make everybody else in the community look bad, because right now you have what people consider the everyday person here watching. And for us to move forward, we have to put out some kind of positive front. And, sometimes I think people don't give a shit about that. It's almost like they take everybody down with them when they do this stuff.
Yeah. And they go all out to get publicity. And I think they even had, it was either a TV channel or Netflix documenting the whole tobacco, and they were all proud about it. And I'm thinking, It's
Yeah.
just, I don't want anything to do with it. And it was at that time that I removed myself from every single thread about that. You know, any group that I may have been a member, I removed myself because I couldn't contain my anger at the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't have, because it's like I come from, as like we've said, and the reason I'm talking to you today is that I come from over 30 years involvement in bodybuilding, you know,
Yeah.
and to see this and these so-called athletes, and I understand, Luke, that great, you've done well, you know, congratulations, you know, but is that what this is? No, this is a sporting contest. This is not a great slap on the back. Good for you, you know, get up there, you know. It's not what it's about, you know. And like you said, some people just want to blend in. So that's why we kind of like thought, well, maybe it's not such a good idea, because unfortunately, when you're creating any kind of organization or anything, you got to think money, you know. It's like, well, we got to set up shows, we got to get prizes, we got to do this. Are there going to be enough people to enter? Is anybody going to come to see it? You know, it's all these things came into it, and it was just like, it's just not gonna. I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think enough people will come forward, and then you know, you're really expecting everybody to come to New York to compete. You know, it's like it's expecting a lot. You know.
Plus, the people that work out in the transgender community are small and very few, from what I've seen. And you know what this whole thing comes down to, whether it's the fitness or the actual pride events or whatever, it's because, like you say, you know, people want to blend in. That you have some that are overly flamboyant to the point to where it could be offensive, and you know they set a bad example. See, that this is where, like what you said earlier about not having the labels, you got to start looking at people for who the person is and not what the label is, because just because I'm white and I support the community doesn't mean every other white person is going to. So you have to, you have to think about that. You know, so the representation, like the bad representation hurts it for everybody else. And you see what I'm saying? It's going to take a long time before people can lift the veil and start looking at people for who they are instead of what they are.
Yeah, that's why I say, if you're transgender and you want to enter a show, just enter it and don't say it a word. You know, just because also it's like, why do you want to draw attention to yourself in the first place? You know, why do you want to risk negative stuff coming your way when putting in anybody competing in any kind of bodybuilding show, it's great for your self-esteem, but what if it's not so great for your self-esteem? What if you're one of the people that go on there thinking you're the bomb and get placed last? You got to be prepared for anything. So why do you want to encourage people to get you for something before you even step on stage? You know, it's like, just blend in. You know, that would be my thing. I don't even think there's any point saying anything afterwards, but that's the person's choice. I mean, if it's the last show you're going to do, because by saying it afterwards, you also run the risk of people criticizing you again too, saying you should never have been up there. And, you know, I mean, everybody's got feelings, you know. Do you really want to put them on the line and risk? I mean, I'm sure people would say, well, I don't give a shit what other people say, but you do, you know. You're human beings do. I mean, I say that myself too. It's like, you know, even just being on today and revealing the things that I revealed about myself, I say, oh, I don't give a shit about what people say, but of course I do, you know. Of course I do. Yeah, it's a human nature to care, you know. But we just hope we can, you know, brush it off and carry on, you know. So I mean, like I'm saying, I would just get up there, I would compete, and I wouldn't say a damn thing, you know.
Yeah, you want to. This is what it kind of relates to, like you said earlier, about the people who do a contest, because all these new categories now, everybody thinks they can just jump on stage. Now, this isn't specifically about transgender, but this is everybody in general that competes. But I look good on the beach in a bikini, so I'll do the bikini competition. And then you realize, you know, now since bikini's kind of evolved, especially here on island, like with the I'm surprised actually the Masters division actually looks really good. Like, you know, you're going from trying to get homeboy to go home with you on the beach to standing on a stage with fucking elite athletes. Like, just because you look good in a bikini doesn't mean you're going to go toe to toe. And their response will be, well, you know, I just want the experience. I'm like, yeah, but you don't want it to be a fucking shitty experience.
Yeah, that's another thing. But then there's me. I always liken things to Steffi Graf at Wimbledon. She used to come into almost every Wimbledon with an injury that she would draw attention to before the match, so that if something went wrong, it was like, oh, that was because her knee was bad. But if she won, it was like, wow, she did that and her knee was bad, so she couldn't lose. So it's like when you go in and it's like you're saying, I'm just doing it for the experience. The hell you are. You want to tear everybody apart and win. You're just preparing yourself for a fall, so that if you do fall, you go, well, it's okay because I was just going in for the experience. You know what I mean? But really, inside your mind, you're going, fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
If you don't have that mentality to go all or nothing, like you're going to be a shitty client anyway. Like, how am I going to train somebody that's not going to be hungry to go in there and kick somebody's ass when they get on stage?
Yeah, exactly.
You're not as coachable when you're like that. So
yeah, it's like you're setting up an excuse for yourself in case, and that excuse is great if you win, because then it's like you did this. It's like some people that they go on and on about all the different illnesses they have, and they're getting ready for a show and things like that. And it's like, okay, so now you're saying that if you fail, it's because of all these illnesses, and if you succeed, it's wow, you triumphed despite the odds. Wow. Just go in there. Just stop making all these big platitudes, just get up there. I like the people that just quietly get ready. Unfortunately, in these days of social media, I don't think there is such a thing as quietly getting ready for a show anymore. It's like, here's my breakfast, here's my dinner, this is what I'm having before I go to bed. This is me working out in the gym. There is no quietly getting ready for a show now. It's a huge hullabaloo on Instagram and Facebook before you even get on the stage, that you've built up this idea of who you're going to be when you get up on the stage,
Think about
world again,
Think about Dorian Yates. Like, nobody ever saw him between Olympias, and from here on and 30, 40 years down the road, people are going to know who that motherfucker is.
Yeah.
He never posted shit. Nobody knew where the fuck he was in between Olympias. He would do some guest appearances. Like, the few guest appearances where he was like off season, people are like have hunted down and like transferred to digital so they can put it online. These are like videos that nobody's ever seen before, because this guy used to stay in hiding in between the Olympias.
Yeah.
And he's like and at the same time, like, he changed the way it was going. He went from the sling class of more like physiques to just like, what the fuck is that on stage? I mean, he brought that era in, because after him was Ronnie Coleman, and the rest is fucking history after that. So, and he never was fucking doing ass shots and shit on social media or reporting in the magazines. Like, the guy, like, they're still having to dig around and uncover photos of this dude from back in the day. And he's
human.
And now he's talking more than he ever has on the interviews and stuff now that he's done.
Yeah.
Back in the day, man, like, he would just show up for the Olympia and take it and go the fuck home.
Well, those were the days when everybody got really fat in the off season.
Oh yeah.
Under the excuse of bulking up. I mean, that phrase annoys me more than almost any other phrase in bodybuilding. Oh, I'm bulking up. What you mean is you're pigging out.
Yeah, I don't say bulking up.
You don't overeat to gain muscle. You need 500 extra calories. You don't need to be like, you don't need to gain 30 pounds in the off season.
Yeah.
It's just like this. But that was the thing I had a problem with when I started that Facebook page. It was like all this talk about bulking up. For what? You're not a Thanksgiving turkey, you know what I mean? Like,
they're just trying to justify.
Trying to make it look like they know the lingo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my off season. Do you have an on season?
Yeah. That's I used to do that shit when I was younger, and now I'm like, when I train athletes to get bigger, they stay lean, because you can cheat here and there, dude, but this whole bulk and eating all these calories and stuff, you're actually not going to get as big, because your cardiovascular health's not going to be able to carry around the extra weight you got on you. So your muscle building's not going to be that great, was what I've learned. But,
No, and also you want to have a modicum of self-respect as well all year round. You don't want to just look good for 1 week every year, and the rest of them you look like a beached whale. You know what I mean? You want to represent. If you're going to carry your pro card with pride, you want to represent the sport in a good way. You don't want to be hiding under like sweatshirts and everything most of the year, so that you can look good for 1 week and then go back into the shadows again. You want to have the kind of body that people want to have. That's why when people are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it kind of takes it. That's a different subject altogether, though. We could talk about that, but then we'd be on for the rest of the night. And be talking still, and everybody going, "Is this over yet? Are they still talking?"
One thing
on the oranges.
I only had one more thing I wanted to address. make sure we touch before we call it off. But and I bring this up because I have a friend that kind of proved this wrong for me, because when I was in the Navy, we went into a conference room where they were talking about SWIC, EOD, fucking SEALs, all that shit for people that wanted to try the Spec Ops community, and they wouldn't allow females. I think SWIC and EOD now they do, but I know the SEALs they definitely don't. I think Special Forces they don't. 82nd Airborne, the Army does now, but there's a whole list of arguments about, well, females are they're programmed to nurture, to reproduce, and to raise, and to nurture, and to raise kids, bring life, all that good stuff. Number two, if you got a woman on the field that goes down, all the dude's attention is going to go to that female, and they're all going to get killed. Those are some of the, because they're going to be so worried about making sure she's okay out of their natural instinct that they're gonna look over stuff themselves and get fucked up. So, and I understand both those, and for the longest time I agreed with those, especially with the mentality part, because I just can't see a woman going in and slitting people's throats and fucking people up. I can't see that. Now, a friend of mine was Green Beret in the Army, immigrated here and joined the Army, got picked up for Special Forces, and then transitioned after from male to female.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you just destroyed that whole argument, because mentally you're not supposed to be able to do that stuff, because, yeah, you were – body-wise, you were male when you were in there, but still brain-wise, you're female, because you're a transgender who hasn't transitioned yet. And you kind of kept it quiet while she was in there. I was like, so, but yet you still have the brain of a female, and you're doing all this stuff they say someone with the brain of a female cannot do. So now I'm looking back like, well, what the fuck? That was just kind of because I remember the guy like it was yesterday in the meeting. He in the middle of the dude doing the brief, he was like, the G.I. Jane shit's a fucking myth. Like, that's all he said. It's like, I was like, maybe it's not, because here's this individual, and I mean, she's female. I know her well, and yet she did it. And, but I mean, physically though, even now she's ridiculously strong. But I mean, so I know physically she could do it, but the mentality, like, it just shocked me, because I was like, damn, you just proved that whole thing was wrong, that women could do it.
Yeah.
And I wonder, that kind of still boggles me, like, I wonder, I know for the military that won't be enough research. Yeah. Now, you can also take into how, they grew up, they were raised. Females that probably grew up with a shittier, a lot harder life and stuff are probably more able to do it than your white suburban, white picket fence woman that grew up. Like,
it depends your upbringing and everything.
Yeah.
So many things come into play because it's not your gender doesn't make you who you are as a person. You know what I mean? It's the experiences you go through in life, the things you've had to maybe. Yeah, I mean, some of these guys might have been spoon-fed by their mothers from childbirth right up until they left the nest, and don't know how to even do their own washing by themselves.
Yeah,
that's true. Women could have gone through, like, their father could have been abusive, their mother could have been an alcoholic, they could have had to raise their whole family, they could have had to manage the household, all these things, and that make them a much stronger person than this man who may just slip into the military quite, and without him, I would say he's less prepared to do battle than she is, because she's been battling for her entire life, So you can't really judge a person on their gender or with their transitioning or whatever, but I believe that haven't they outlawed transgender people in the military now? Is that definite, or is that still being talked about?
They're
you
not
seem to know more about this than I do. So
the ones that are in are allowed to stay in. Last I checked, they're not letting any more come in, and everybody thinks it's this whole Trump's a dick thing, but they were really trying to expedite it, and supposedly from what I heard, they weren't ready. Now, Mattis was trying to say, hey, you guys need to stop lollygagging and get this shit done, from last I understood.
Yeah.
I have my own theories on how the ban came up. I honestly think it was more the influence of higher-ups in the military. They did not want to make the changes. They were just trying to ride the last few years out, and, because old people habits are hard to break, and I really think these guys just did not want to go through it.
Yeah.
But somebody was showing me the original instruction, because any instruction that's not classified that puts in a law, you can look up and read and exactly see verbatim what the law is. It said because the military is not ready and they have not done the research to learn how to incorporate these people, nobody's allowed to come in. So the ones that are in are already in, everything's fine, no problem, cool. Let them ride their time. they may not, I don't know if they'll be allowed to re-enlist, but I think it came about because once they found out transgender were in the military, they were giving them like medical separation stuff, and some of them were like, I want to stay in. They were fighting to stay in. So like, oh, well, you know, and my opinion, I'd rather have a military of people that want to fucking be there regardless who they are. If they want,
exactly. Yeah. So isn't it the same with what they used to do with gay people in the military? Don't ask, don't tell, you know?
You know, they lifted that right when I got out.
Yeah.
And when they lifted it, we were just kind of like, okay, who cares? We already know we don't care.
How is it gonna affect my ability to do my job? You know, well, and the same goes to transgender. How is it gonna affect my ability to do my job?
Exactly.
I'm choosing to be here because I think this is something I want to do. You know, I'm not here to make a statement. You know,
and if these people are going under the radar just to serve our country, you know their motivation to be there is a hell of a lot more than probably 80% people in that fucking room.
Yeah.
And,
nobody. I mean, you have to have a strong, I would think, like, motivation to want to be in the military, because you're not going to just be sitting behind a desk pushing a pen all day. You're going to be expected to go into battle zones and do all that. So I mean, it's like you got to want to do it. You know, it's certainly not going to do it just to make a statement and rattle some people up. You know, it's like
And when they lifted the don't ask, don't tell, like by that time we already kind of knew who was and who wasn't, and we already like didn't give a shit because it didn't bother us. So it was almost like they lifted it because there was no reason to have it anymore because nobody cared.
Yeah, nobody cared. Everything society has evolved, thank God. You know, it's like people used to be scared of gay people because they thought every gay person must be after everybody of that gender. You know, so like if a gay person is in a locker room, no man is safe. You know what I mean? Yeah, they're hunters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if you like shake hands with them, you automatically have AIDS and shit like that.
Yeah. It's like the transgender bathroom thing, you know. If there's a transgender female in the female bathroom, then oh my God, you know, the world is going to come. They're all child molesters. I mean, please, you know.
Shit, man. I tell you, I some of these states that have that law where they have to go into their gender. I tell some of my friends, like, you sit there taking a piss and see a hot ass transgender female walk in there, and you're going to second guess that rule. Yeah, you're going to be like, this is uncomfortable as shit right now.
Yeah, I feel so threatened.
It's dumb. It's like, I mean, here in Hawaii, nobody gives a shit. I mean, they just go wherever. Nobody cares. Nobody really thinks twice of it, as far as from what I've heard.
Yeah, no, it's just the Basildon Bond people, as we used to call them in the UK, you know, the people that are all writing their letters. You know? Now it's the people behind the keyboards, but it used to be, we used to call them the Basildon Bond Brigade. You know, there used to be these notebooks that were, the company that put them out was Basildon Bond, you know, so we used to all call them the Basildon Bond Brigade, getting ready with their pens to complain about any little thing they see that might affect their sensibilities. Now they just get on a keyboard, their faceless internet, you know, it's the same thing. Yeah. It's like a different generation, a different way of, you know, they'll find fault with everything and anything that doesn't comply with their own sensibilities, you know.
And they'll find some way to justify it that doesn't make sense. I could go into the bathroom issue, but I'll talk all night just because it's ridiculous. But the fact of the matter is, the people that are making those laws obviously are not around the community and have experience making friends with that community, or else they would think twice.
Yeah. Or they have a lot of deep shit going on in their private lives that they want to make it look like they're dead against us so nobody guesses.
Oh, yeah. How many anti-gay senators have been caught with boys and shit? I mean,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, look at the big scandal with Prince Andrew right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and you know, Brian Epstein, you know, his involvement with him, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this is atrocious. I would never condone this. Yeah, well, why do you have all your pictures with him? You know? It's like...
Yeah. They
the more you cry against it, the more I am suspicious.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen that a lot. Even in relationships, when somebody's pointing the finger at you, it's usually to take the attention off of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, I bring the military thing up because, you know, the special forces thing is a separate incident. You know, that kind of boggled me a little bit when somebody who with a female, I'd say, for lack of a better word, hardwiring, that wasn't supposed to be able to do that job, did that job very well. Now, when it comes to your everyday military, like I know the Army's starting to come up with a gender-neutral PT test, which I think is a great idea, because I'm sorry, and I'm going to piss people off with this, but if you're bitching that you want to be equal to men and want to do the same job as them, you live up to the same fucking standards. And women will argue with me. I'm like, you gotta understand, I'm a trainer. I've trained women that can fucking outdo guys at this fitness test, so I know it can happen. And you want, like, so if you want to be able to do the same job as someone else, you have to meet the same requirements.
Yeah.
And if that means you have to work a little harder, that's fine. I mean, I have to work harder than other body. I'm not genetically gifted to be lean and big. And it has nothing to do with my gender. It's just my genetics. So it's the same for them. It's just, we want to do the same as them, but we want lighter standards. That's not how it fucking works. So I'm really hoping, because now it's once your file and everything is changed to the gender, like if you're transitioning, once you're fully transitioned and it's changed in your record, you have to abide by that gender's PT test. And even the female to males, I've never seen any issue with them passing the test. They passed it just fine. And that also shows that people with a female makeup can pass. Because really the standards for an everyday soldier or sailor is not that crazy. It's not hard. Yeah. It's not – I was overweight and out of shape. I did 1.5 miles in 10.5 minutes. Now, I'll tell you, I was dead after that, but I did it. So you can't – because I was pretty out of shape in the Navy. But – yeah. When people say they can't just because, I'm like, dude, that's bullshit. I know women that could put some guys to shame, and they're not taking anything. They're just working their ass off because they want it that fucking bad, and that's what it comes down to. So if they change the, they change the standards according to the job, I might be okay with that. But as far as the height, as far as like weight standards, I would be okay with them changing the fitness standards per job, but not the height, but not the visual, like the standards. Because you're a desk jockey, I get it. Your physical standards don't have to be really up to par because you're just pushing paperwork and signing leave chits. But you don't want to look like a fat piece of shit in a military uniform because you're representing the entire fucking military when you're wearing that uniform. So you still, even though you don't have to run and do all this shit, you still have to look the part. And that's how I see it.
No, exactly. I sometimes wonder what the qualifications these days are to join the police force, because here in New York City, I see so many just fat, overweight cops walking around. It's like, am I this even allowed? Would you be able to chase me if I did something? I'm no runner, but I could still outrun you. It's just like there should be some kind of fitness standard, for anybody that is in an occupation where their lives may be in danger if they can't run or fight or whatever. I mean. I don't know. It's like, and it should be, like you said, same in the military. There should be a standard to which everybody is held. I mean, they make models stay a certain weight. You know what I mean? You're a model, you have to be skinny and you can't eat because you're a model. So if you're a cop or if you're an army officer or whatever, you should have the same standards. You're in this profession, so you should have a certain level of fitness and a certain weight standard, before you can maintain your job. And if you get fat, then you're out. But
and if you're relying,
that's in Lee Penman's world, a very cool universe.
If there's relying on the enemy to be in shittier shape than you is not a really good protocol to defend the country or to maintain the law in your city.
I don't get it. It used to be so strict in whatever they allow. They don't even seem to have a height regulation these days, I'm no giant, but I see cops smaller than me, I'm like, and I know where I come from, there used to be a limit. You had to be like 5'8", 5'10", I think it was 5'10" minimum for a guy to be a cop, and maybe 5'8", 5'7" for a woman, Yeah, I see like 5-foot cops walking around the place, what I mean?
And now you can get a waiver for about anything. Like I've seen people that are overweight in the military on thyroid waivers. I'm like, you can just get on some levothyroxine and not be a fat ass, and you'll lose the weight.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to get a waiver for your thyroid. They can take care of that with medication, proper diet. So that's when people say I have a thyroid problem, it's like, no, you just have a lazy problem because you won't get a fucking.
Yeah. I get this overactive arm that keeps reaching for food and putting it in my mouth, and I can't.
Yeah, exactly. It's from the same guy.
It's like an autonomic reflex. I can't stop. I was born with it. A hand keeps going to the mouth. It's like, go figure.
Yeah. It's the same guy that has the bowl of candy in his office, the one with the fucking thyroid problem.
Yeah.
It's just, and like I said, once again, we're in this PC world. And it's just like, you can't hurt anybody's feelings and shit. And, and people are soft now. I mean, you talk about the military. Back in World War II, there were people lying about their age and shit just so they could go fucking.
I know, just to serve. My father entered the army underage. He entered when he was 17. There was an 18-year-old age limit, you know? He entered when he was 17, you know? And was sent to Germany and everything, you know?
That's crazy. I mean,
I think his father before him in the war that he fought, and he, you know, he was even younger than that, you know? Yeah. And he didn't have to go, you know, he didn't have to go. The conscription wasn't until you were 18, you know, but he wanted to go, you know?
Yeah, and now people don't want to move out of their mom's basement when they're fucking.
No. It's like, what's the joke? I got bone spurs.
Yeah, it's insane. I watch these documentaries and stuff where they talk have you ever watched Hacksaw Ridge? That is a badass movie where they talk about the guy who
yes, I saw it. Yeah.
Oh my God. And you're like, dude, this is how people younger than me used to be this badass back in the day, and now we can't do shit to save our life. We're always crying and wanting help and running to mom and dad and like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a generation we're bringing up into the world, I think, you know?
Yeah,
they're expecting everything to be given to them, you know, unfortunately, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no discipline, you know? I mean, half of the things, if you're talking about that, half of the things I see kids getting away with now, I would never have got away with acting like that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and I used to think it was, you know, and I remember, I think every kid grows up thinking, I can't wait till I'm an adult, and then nobody can tell me what to do. It doesn't happen like that. Yeah. When you're an adult, people still tell you what to do, unfortunately. The only thing you have control over maybe is the time you go to bed. That is maybe something that nobody can tell you it's time to go to bed. But the annoying thing is you're probably going to want to go to bed early when you're an adult. So it never gets any easier.
But people want to grow up and move out. Like, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here and all this shit. Like, but now the mentality.
They realize it's not that easy. Yeah, they realize the world, you have to pay for things.
Yeah, but now people are more like, you know, how long can I milk this situation rather than when can I get out of here and do my own thing? You know? So the mentality has changed, and you know, and things come in cycles. So I'm sure, you know, it'll get back to more old school ways in the future. But for right now, it's kind of a rough road.
Yeah.
And, but let's see. I think that covers
about everything apart from dogs, you know.
I've really enjoyed it. This is I'm glad we got to meet and talk about a lot of this stuff, man, because this is I hope everybody gets as much out of this as I got out of it, because I really enjoyed it, and we've covered a lot of issues, and I cleared up a lot of stuff for me too. So anything else you want to add before we call it a day?
No, I think I'm good. I think, like I said, we covered everything.
All right, Lee, I appreciate your time, man.
Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, no problem. Take it easy, man.
Okay, then. Bye.
All right, bye.